A World Bank Guide. Chapter 1. The World Bank. worldbank.org, the website. 1818 H Street, NW Washington, D.C. 20433 USA 202-473-1000. Facebook.com/worldbank, Twitter.com/worldbank, Flickr.com/worldbank, YouTube.com/worldbank, worldbank.org/n/program/business, blogs.worldbank.org, worldbank.org/n/about/what-we-do, overview, worldbank.org/n/about/leadership, organization, worldbank.org/n/archive/history, history, worldbank.org/n/about/archives, archives, worldbank.org/n/about/annual-report, annual reports, worldbank.org/n/access-to-information, access to information, worldbank.org/n/program/accountability, accountability mechanism, scorecard.worldbank.org, corporate scorecard, financesapp.worldbank.org/summaries/ibrd-ida/number sign ibrd-net, World Bank Group Finances, worldbank.org/n/about/unit/integrity-vice-presidency, integrity vice presidency, inspectionpanel.org, inspection panel, ieg.worldbankgroup.org, independent evaluation group, cao-ombudsman.org, compliance advisor ombudsman, policies.worldbank.org/site/ppf3/pages/ppfhome.aspx, policies and procedures, worldbank.org/n/about/president, office of the president, worldbank.org/n/about/leadership/governors, boards of governors, worldbank.org/n/about/people/all, experts, worldbank.org/n/news, news, projects.worldbank.org, projects, projects.worldbank.org/country, lang equals n and page equals, by country, projects.worldbank.org/sector, lang equals n and page equals, by sector, projects.worldbank.org/theme, lang equals n and page equals, by theme, worldbank.org/n/projects-operations/country-strategies, country engagement, worldbank.org/n/research, research publications, data.worldbank.org, data, olc.worldbank.org, learning, worldbank.org/n/topic, development topics, openknowledge.worldbank.org, open knowledge repository, treasury.worldbank.org, treasury, worldbank.org/n/topic/trade, trade, olc.worldbank.org, open learning campus, worldbank.org/n/events, events, live.worldbank.org, World Bank Live, worldbank.org/n/about/speakers-bureau, speakers bureau, worldbank.org/n/meetings/splash, spring and annual meetings, worldbank.org/n/program/business-enabling-environment/complementary-resources, jobs at the World Bank, worldbank.org/n/about/careers, jobs, worldbank.org/n/about/careers/programs-and-internships, programs and internships. A list of countries where we work at worldbank.org/n/where-we-work. worldbank.org/n/where-we-work/Afghanistan, Afghanistan. 2. worldbank.org/n/where-we-work/Vietnam, Vietnam. worldbank.org/n/where-we-work/West Bank and Gaza, West Bank and Gaza. worldbank.org/n/where-we-work/Yemen, Yemen. worldbank.org/n/where-we-work/Zambia, Zambia. World Bank regions. worldbank.org/n/region/AFR, Africa. worldbank.org/n/region/EAP, East Asia and Pacific. worldbank.org/n/region/ECA, Europe and Central Asia. worldbank.org/n/region/LAC, Latin America and Caribbean. worldbank.org/n/region/MENA, Middle East and North Africa. worldbank.org/n/region/SAR, South Asia. worldbank.org/n/where-we-work/EU, European Union. worldbank.org/n/where-we-work/MIC, Middle Income Countries. worldbank.org/n/where-we-work/Caribbean, Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. worldbank.org/n/where-we-work/Pacific Islands, Pacific Islands. worldbank.org/n/where-we-work/SM All States, Small States. worldbank.org/n/where-we-work/GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council. worldbank.org/n/where-we-work/Western Europe, Western Europe. World Trade websites at worldbank.org. imf.org/n/publication/WEO, World Economic Outlook. bis.org/statistics/auth_ind.htm?m=6_382_680, Bank for International Settlements, BIS, Macroeconomic Indicators. afdb.org/n/knowledge/publication/African-economic-outlook, African Economic Outlook. adb.org/publication/series/Asian-development-outlook, Asian Economic Outlook. flagships.iadb.org/n/macro-report2020/policies-to-fight-the-pandemic, Latin American and Caribbean Macroeconomic Report. OECD-library.org/economics/OECD-economic-outlook_160974008, OECD Economic Outlook. tao.wto.org, WTO Tariff Analysis Online. i-tip.wto.org/services/default.aspx, WTO iTip Services. unctad.org/topic/trade-analysis/non-tariff-measures/NTMS-data, UNCTAD non-tariff measures. data.imf.org/?mark SK=510CD2-40C2-8D09-06999CC1764 IMF Financial Soundness Index. data.imf.org/question mark SK=F8032805B36-43B1-AC26-493C5B1CD33B, IMF Financial Development Index. wits.worldbank.org, World Integrated Trade Solutions. globaltradealert.org, Global Trade Alert. oecd.org/employment/skills-for-employment-indicators.htm, World Indicators of Skills for Employment. data.uis.unesco.org, UNESCO Institute for Statistics. unodc.org/unodc/n/data-analysis/statistics/index.html, United Nations Office on Crime and Drugs, UNOCD, Statistics. prio.org/data, Peace Research Institute Oslo, Prio. OECD Better Life Index.org/topics/safety, OECD Better Life Index, Safety. olc.worldbank.org, Learning. World Bank Organizations. International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. worldbank.org/n/who-we-r/IBRD, IBRD. International Development Association. IDA.worldbank.org, IDA. International Finance Corporation. IFC.org, IFC. Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. MIGA.org, MIGA. International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes. ICSID.worldbank.org, ICSID. World Bank Partners at worldbank.org/n/about/partners. ACDI-SIDA.gc.ca, Canadian International Development Agency. ADB.org, the Asian Development Bank. AFD.fr, Agence Française de Développement. AFDB.org, the African Development Bank. AID.government.nz, New Zealand Official Development Assistance. AUSAID.gov.au, Australian Agency for International Development. BCIE.org, Central American Bank for Economic Integration. BOAD.org, West African Development Bank. CAF.com, Corporación Andina de Fomento. Carbonfinance.org, the Carbon Fund. Carabank.org, Caribbean Development Bank. CGAP.org, Consultative Group to Assist the Poor, CGAP. CGIAR.org, Consultative Group for International Agricultural Research, GIRE. DCI.gov.ie, Ireland Development Cooperation. DESA.admin.ch/n/home, Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation. DFID.gov.uk, UK. Department for International Development. EADB.org, East African Development Bank. EBRD.com, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. EC.europa.eu, the European Commission. EIB.org, the European Investment Bank. Entwicklung.at/n, Austrian Development Agency. EUROMDALEX.org/funding/Finnish-international-development-co-operation, Department for International Development Cooperation, Finland. FirstInitiative.org, Financial Sector Reform and Strengthening Initiative, FIRST. GaviAlliance.org, Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization, Gavi. GDLNglobal.org, Global Development Learning Network, GDLN. GEFweb.org, Global Environment Facility, GEF. GIZ.de/n/html/index.html, Deutsche Gesellschaft für technische Zusammenarbeit, GIZ, GmbH. Government.nl/ministries/bz #ref-minbuza, Netherlands Development Cooperation. GPOBA.org, Global Partnership on Output-Based Aid, GPOBA. GWP.org, Global Water Partnership, GWP. Haiti Reconstruction Fund.org, Haiti Reconstruction Fund, HRF. IADB.org, the Inter-American Development Bank Group. IFAD.org, International Fund for Agricultural Development. Infodev.org, Infodev. ISDB.org, the Islamic Development Bank. JBIC.go.jp, Japan Bank for International Cooperation. JICA.go.jp/English, Japan International Cooperation Agency. KFW.de/KFW.de2.html, Kreditanstalt für Wiederaufbau. NDF.fi, the Nordic Development Fund. NIB.in/home, the Nordic Investment Bank. NORD.no, Norwegian Agency for Development Cooperation. OFID.org, the OPEC Fund for International Development. RBM.who.int, rollback malaria. seco.admin.ch/themen/00513/00644/index.html ? Swiss State Secretariat for Economic Affairs. SIDA.se, Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency. Star.worldbank.org/star, Stolen Asset Recovery Initiative, STAR. um.dk/n, Danish Development Agency. un.org/n/ecosoc, Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC. un.org/n/ga, UN General Assembly. un.org/n, United Nations. un.org/doc/sc, Security Council. unaids.org/n/default.asp, Joint United Nations Programme on HIV/AIDS. undg.org, UN Development Group, UNDG. undp.org/content/undp/n/home.html, UN Development Programme, UNDP. unfpa.org/public, UN Population Fund, UNFPA. unicef.org, UN Children's Fund, UNICEF. unsceb.org, Chief Executives Board, CEB. usaid.gov, U.S. Agency for International Development. WSP.org, Water and Sanitation Program, WSP.